Great years in pop culture. 1984. Hello and welcome to this week's video. And this week I would want to do something slightly different. This may be the beginning of a potential series. I want to talk about great years in pop culture. And I want to talk about 1984, which is a strong candidate in my book for possibly the best year of pop culture. Though there are other candidates, this is certainly in the top 10, if not the top 5. And there's a number of reasons why, because I think 1984 was an amazing year in pop culture, television and movie-wise. Now, 1984 on TV, we had the start of no less than 3 iconic brand new television series based on classic British icons in the UK, as well as other shows as well. Talking about those 3 based on icons, 1984, believe it or not, was the year in which Robin of Sherwood, the Jeremy Brett Sherlock Holmes, and the Joan Hickson Miss Marples all started. The first season of Robin of Sherwood. And you know what? Maybe it's because I was 9 years old at the time. I think they're pretty much the 3 best interpretations of those icons. Robin of Sherwood is by far my favourite version of Robin Hood. I loved it as a kid. It was such a strange mix, because on the one hand it's the grittiest, most real kind of take on Robin Hood, and on the other hand it treats the supernatural and magic as being an everyday part of life in the Middle Ages. I found that fascinating as a kid, and that's one of the things that really intrigued me and pulled me in, and I still find that fascinating and enthralling as an adult. I don't think, certainly in terms of authentic versions, I mean, I may possibly love Elementary more, but in terms of authentic, the Jeremy Brett Sherlock Holmes are the best ones by far, in my opinion. It's not even a contest, and certainly Brett is my favourite kind of authentic Holmes. And again with the Miss Marples, you're never getting a better Miss Marple than Joan Hickson. I'm sorry. The others almost look like caricatured parodies next to her, in my opinion. These productions were high class, high expense, possibly a little bit too much high expense in at least one case, given that 3 seasons of Robin of Sherwood ended up bankrupting their production company. Oh dear. That still hold up today, and you know, they're on Blu-ray in high definition, and they all look absolutely bloody stunning. But 1984 wasn't just those 3 in terms of pop culture. You also had the start of another massive show that was The Bill. Now, technically, the pilot, known as Wooden Top, was shown the year before as part of an anthology show called Storyboard. There was a little half-hour thing called Wooden Top, which was about a young policeman's first day on the job. And a couple of those characters and the general kind of idea ultimately got transplanted. But The Bill as The Bill started in 1984. That show ran for 26 years. Granted, only the first 16 or 17 were any good. It kind of went the way of New Who after that. Oh dear. Are we allowed to take the piss out of New Who yet? Yeah, well, I am anyway. That's another iconic show, a long-running show, and a huge part of my youth. I mean, I watched The Bill from its first season. Like I said, I was 9 years old, and I watched that show up until I was in my late 20s. That's insane. Not quite 20 years, but that's a hell of a long time from a kid to late 20s. And I still watch that show today. I have all like the first 17 seasons on DVD. I'm currently rewatching 1997 again. Another huge icon. Again, kind of the same. 84, I believe, was the first season of Taggart. Again, there was a pilot for that simply called Killer the previous year, but I'm pretty sure it was 84 when Taggart started as a series called Taggart. Scottish crime thriller series. Love Taggart. That ran for pretty much the same amount of time as The Bill. It wasn't on as much as The Bill, because from its fourth season, The Bill was on basically every bloody week, 2 or 3 times a week, whereas Taggart was just like, a limited show, a series that was on for so long and then went off for another season. But again, that ran for 26 years. Again, kind of went downhill in the 2000s. Certainly, arguably went downhill after the lead actor died in the mid-90s. But again, another huge iconic show for me. Taggart could get pretty scary. It was less of a general crime show as The Bill and more like a murder mystery show. That could get pretty dark and pretty nasty, Taggart, which I loved. I loved that as a kid as well. I was a sick boy, and I'm a sick man. Look at it, but again, not necessarily in terms of what was started that year, though. Again, that's a pretty impressive damn tally, up to around 5 iconic shows in the same year, all British. At that time, what else was on? You still had stuff like the American shows, like Magnum and the A-Team, stuff like that. You had Sons and Daughters won its 3rd season. That's one of my favourite shows. I know, shut up. And of course, Doctor Who was still on. That was an important year for Doctor Who. Peter Davison left as the 5th Doctor and was replaced by Colin Baker. Season 21 is not a particular favourite of mine. Kind of gets lost between the 20th anniversary season and season 22, which is a much better season in my opinion. But again, just what it shows just how strong just TV was in 1984. Compare that to today, where there's absolutely nothing on. Oh dear, that's a shame. Okay, enough about TV. Let's go to the movies. 1984 is an unbelievable year for iconic movies. The original Ghostbusters, Gremlins. Those are 2 of the most iconic movies, ever made, but also 2 of the most iconic movies of my childhood. I think of my childhood, I think of Ghostbusters and Gremlins. The Terminator, for Christ's sake. A Nightmare on Elm Street. That's another iconic movie in terms of being one of the 2 movies that scared the absolute living crap out of me as a kid. And there's a whole bunch of others from 84 I'm probably forgetting right now. Splash is another one. I'm sure there's a lot more. There is, because Night of the Comets from 84. There's a lot of good other smaller movies, perhaps not quite as iconic. But think about that. Ghostbusters, Gremlins, The Terminator, Nightmare on Elm Street. All in the same freaking year. You're lucky if you get a movie on that level once every decade these days. So yeah, and again, maybe it's because I was 9 years old. But I rank 1984 as one of the key years in pop culture. TV, movie. It was an amazing year. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, like, comment, blah blah blah, and maybe I'll do another one showcasing another of my favourite years in pop culture. Bye for now.